Hi, my name's Caspar, I'm a chef and I'm a CEO at Fresh Fitness Food. So today we're going to bring you another quick cook-along recipe that you might want to make with friends. The focus of all of our recipes is the same ethos we have within the business: convenience, taste, and results. So I'm going to make each recipe something that will help you move towards whatever health goals you've got, and you can just position that within your menu throughout your day to make sure it aligns with your goals. Taste-wise, it's going to be delicious. And then convenience, it's going to be sourced from ingredients you can get just about anywhere. We obviously work with trusted suppliers at Fresh Fitness Food who are local to where we are, and as much local produce as possible. And so within the ingredients that I'm using, that's where we source some of these things, but I promise you, you can find them just about anywhere. Today, we're going to make a butter lettuce salad. Sounds really simple, and it is. So this is the type of dish where you might put it in the middle of the table as a bit of a presentation piece around some other mains, maybe some proteins, maybe some fish, maybe you've done some grains or some other salads that could pair with it. But this is something you might put down right in the middle and everybody could just dig in. Or if you want a really light meal, you could just make it for one person. It's vegan, it is delicious, it is fresh, it's crunchy. You can make it year round, but the springtime is probably the best for it. And yeah, let's just get cooking. Look at this little guy. I mean, like, nature is just really something, isn't it? Oh, and look at that. We've got a nice avocado in there. There's nothing sadder than a bad avocado, is there? And look at that. I mean, come on. It's exciting. I'm gonna give it a couple more shakes, like I'm in a fancy cocktail bar. So, I'm gonna boil some water. I've got some cold water here, which I'm gonna show you what we do in a minute. That's gonna go into this bowl. Okay, water on the go here, heavily seasoned. So the way these recipe videos will work is I want to be able to do things in real time so that you can follow along with me. If you want to skip and jump ahead to find out the sequence of events, go for it. We're going to try edit things down to make sure it's snappy, on point, and gives you the information you need. But I'm also going to do it in real time so that way, if you're at home right now, you're probably waiting for me to just shut up and get cooking because you want to look for the next step. So to start with, we've got some celery. I love celery. Celery's great. We could talk about celery all day. Celery is in season year round in the UK. If you're not buying UK sourced celery, you're in the wrong shop. Again, I've got a little bin up here. Again, I'm working from left to right. I'm giving some nice length for the arm here. I'm going to take off some of these bits. I am going to use them later for stocks and things like that. In this case, I just want the kind of green, nice bits of the celery, purely from like an aesthetic perspective. Now I'm going to get my peeler. Again, the celery skins are great in a little bit of a veg stock or anything like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to peel down. And the reason why is because the skins are the bit where it's kind of like, you know when you eat celery and it gets stuck in your teeth, maybe you've had it with some peanut butter or something, that's this bit. That's these like little wriggly buggers. So again, like, this salad is probably a portion for one person, or it's something to share maybe between up to 4 people if you're going to kind of have it alongside some other dishes down the center of a table for a bit of a feast. So that's how I'd recommend this one in terms of portion sizes. Okay, again, I'm just going to pop them in my little tabletop for later's thing. So for the celery things, my advice is cut them lengthways into these kind of nice looking segments that are bite size. Now, you're probably thinking, why is he going on so much about celery? What's the big deal about celery? I'm going to make celery the most delicious celery you've ever had. So that's right there. It's ready to go into my water. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to cook or steam or whatever you want to call it on a hard boil in heavily salted water with my celery. The moment I think it's done, and I'm going to be talking about, let's say 2 minutes, maybe, yeah, about 2 minutes, maybe even less, maybe 90 seconds, and then I'm going to take it from the water and put it into the cold water. If you've got ice, even better. I don't have any ice, I've just got cold water. So it's going to do for today. But all I want to do is refresh it. And when you refresh a vegetable, particularly a green vegetable, brings out a lot of that flavor. And what I'm going to look for is some really effervescent colors, which will be particularly sexy in my dish later on. So that's kind of just happening over here. Everything is nice and organized. And now the way this dish works is we actually start with the plate. So again, you're in kind of cook along mode. And if you are, get your plate out here. Okay, so you got your butter lettuce here. Look at this little guy. I mean, like, nature is just really something, isn't it? It's just kind of like grown out of the ground. Now you get to eat it. Okay, so what I want you to do is just get really gentle with your fingers. Like you're kind of like playing with a butter lettuce. And just start to like fan some of those leaves out. This is literally it. We're not chopping it. I'm just pulling one leaf out after another leaf. Okay, look at that. And then start to like push it down so it stays down. Just, you're kind of like, look at that. Look at that. It was like, you know, literally just grew out of the ground. Is anyone else seeing this? Okay. So, I mean, like, talk about doing the work for you, right? Okay, this is boiling now. So my little celery guys go right in there. Trust me on the celery, okay? Don't just be like, oh, I'm gonna stick with the avocado. We've all had avocado, we've all had brunch. Do the celery. It's really worth it, it's delicious, and it will make the dish and give you a point of difference. But we also all love avocado, so. Oh, and look at that, we've got a nice avocado in there. There's nothing sadder than a bad avocado, is there? So for this dish, I'm just gonna use a half one. But you know what? Use whatever size you want. Avocado is great. Great source of fiber. A little bit goes in there. So what you're going to see now is I'm just looking for like very similar sizes of all the different veggies I'm using. Essentially kind of mouth sizes, right? And I just take these little guys and into these little folds, I just start to put my bits. And we just build as we go. Right? My celery is about 90 seconds now, would you say? 90 seconds? And what you can start to see is that celery starting to cook. I'll have a little feel. Let me give it like another 20 seconds. Let me take my next veg, some of these lovely radishes from here. I'm just going to pull them off, not very successfully. Okay, I've got around about 6, 7 radishes. I'm just going to clean them up a little bit. I actually like the little tails on them. Okay, now this is done. So around about 2 minutes on the celery. And look at that. I mean, come on. It's exciting. So straight into the water. All right. Vegetables are a huge part of what we do at Fresh Fitness Food. It's really important that you might have, you know, health and fitness goals, and your diet might be kind of centered around protein or carbohydrates for fuel for some of the workouts you're doing. But all of those little micronutrients are just critical for getting you the kind of results you're after. So I'm chilling that down in the water now. I'm going to get rid of my spoon here. And now I'll just take some of these little guys. I'm going to, you know, chop them before I plate them so that I can have a bit more fun with plating them. I'm doing them in halves. If one of them's really big, like this guy here, I'm going to do him into quarters. Just taking that down there. This one here. And this one here. And now I'm just some colors starting to kind of appear in here. Might even give them a little wash in that water there. You know, brighten them up a little bit. And, you know, maybe you want to use a different vegetable. Maybe you want to use some red peppers. Could be really nice. Could get some good color in there. We're also going to be using some fruit today. Obviously, you may have already seen in the ingredients. And now you're cooking along with me, so you know what's coming. That's looking really nice. And there. Okay. Cool. Now my celery. What I'm going to do is just keep working clean here, because that's really important, you know. I spent like 7 years working in kind of Michelin star restaurants in Australia and in the UK. And one of the things that all of those places have in common is that you've got to work really nice and clean, otherwise things get out of control really quickly. Can we just talk about a celery for a second? Like, are we looking at that? Can we get a close-up on that? Effervescence. Look at that. So that's just kind of coming in here, and they look like jewels, you know? They're really quite a sexy little thing. It's really doing bits for me right now. There's some on the outside here so that we show the love everywhere. And the colder you get that water, the more kind of jump of colors you'll get. Okay. Now onto our next one. I've got a couple of different colored cherry tomatoes. So I've got some yellow guys, which will be really gorgeous in there. And I've got some red guys as well. I like to cut them kind of against the grain, I guess you'd say, because you get a really nice kind of look inside that little jewel. So I've gone for about 5 or 6 of the yellows and about 5 or 6 of the reds. And now I'm going to put them all around as well. So this could be something that you're making while maybe you've got, again, some proteins or a roast in the oven or something on the slow cooker, which are some recipes we'll definitely be doing for you guys as we get on. Focusing on that kind of convenience element of what we do. I want you to walk away from these recipes thinking that was really easy. I could make that again. I wouldn't even need to follow along next time, you know. So, cool. Tomatoes are on. Roll that lemon down to get some of the juice out of it. And now I go for my final ingredient, which is strawberries. So I want to add some like kind of freshness and summer vibes to this. Doesn't matter how miserable it is outside in the UK. So all I'm going to do is take that down. For the big ones, I'm going to go in quarters. For the smaller ones, I'm going to go in halves. So again, just looking for some of those really nice ones, that gorgeous color through this. And that is really going to light up the dish. And again, trust me on this. You could use a blueberry on this dish, often really nice in a salad, often really pops, also less effort. You don't even have to cut it up. I think the strawberry has really nice acidity, which kind of comes through in a burst of flavor when you're going to be eating this with a tomato and a crunchy radish and a crunchy bit of celery. So I probably cut too many here, but I'm just going to eat it. So strawberries go in, more color, boom. Really starting to build up. All right, wicked. Tons of stuff in there. Oops. There we go. Don't do that when you're cooking for other people, you know, COVID. Okay, so basically our salad's done, right? Boom. What I'm now going to do for you is probably my favorite dressing. I'm going to do a jar dressing. Now, typically I will make this kind of dressing when I've got my Dijon mustard pot is almost finished, and I'm just going to bang all the ingredients into that. Or keep a little jar in the cupboard, something that maybe has the last few bits of something else in it, and you want to incorporate that into the dressing. It could be a honey pot as well, will work really well. But this jar dressing is literally as easy as it sounds. So the first thing I'm going to actually start with is some honey, which is right here. So I'll always, almost always, in just about any dressing I make, add some kind of honey or sugar or sweetness. So I'm going for like a half teaspoon or a third of a teaspoon of honey in there. And that is really important. Then I'm going to start to build my acidity profile. So I'm going to go for 1 teaspoon of white wine vinegar. I'm probably going to go for 2 because I want lots of acidity. So 1, 2, and then I've got my Dijon mustard, which is the next thing that will go into there. I've got my olive oil here, which I'll just pour that straight in. So typically you might be like thinking about whisking that in. In this instance, I've gone for about 3-4 teaspoons of the white wine vinegar. Gone for the juice of half a lemon. If you keep that lemon upways when you're kind of squeezing that through, usually you'll stop the seeds going in because they'll just come to the top, but they won't get around your little fingies. Okay, cool. So trying to keep things relatively clean through here. Now I'm just going to give that start to give that a little bit of a mix. Okay, and now my Dijon mustard, I'm going to go for 1 nice teaspoon of Dijon mustard in there. Now you could use a seeded Dijon in this recipe. You could use just about any mustard really in it. I think Dijon works really, really well, particularly with anything kind of fruity and tomato-y and all those sorts of lovely flavors. Final thing is I'm going to get a bit of salt and pepper in there. And again, if this is a jar you're not going to keep, there's even less washing up after it. So I've got a nice balance of acidity, fats, the sweetness, and also that salt that's within there. So give that jar a nice little clean off. Make sure it's all good. Now, the reason I like this jar dressing is, like I said, with a good dressing, you're looking to emulsify. And look, I've just banged that like, what, 5 times? And we're basically emulsified, right? I'm gonna give it a couple more shakes, like I'm in a fancy cocktail bar. Clearly not a cocktail mixologist, but we're good. So now you might want to walk out to that table, you might have prepped this, you've got some other things to crack on with, and this is there ready to go. Boom, down the middle of the table, serve it like that, jobs are good. When you're ready to serve, jar dressing, spring butter lettuce salad. Really the plate is that salad and it's doing all the work for you. All we're doing is bringing together some really popping ingredients. Hope you enjoyed cooking along with that one.